"You won't believe what this donkey just did. You won't believe what this donkey just did." I'm serious. This isn't your typical farm story. It all started on a quiet morning in a small village where everyone knew each other, and animals were just part of the family. The donkey, whose name is Bobo, wasn't like any other donkey you've ever seen. He was clever, curious, and sometimes a little mischievous. People in the village often laughed at how Bobo seemed to understand more than just simple commands. But nobody could have guessed what he was about to do next. Our story begins with Maria, a kind-hearted woman who has cared for Bobo since he was a foal. Maria's farm is modest, filled with chickens, goats, and a few cows, but Bobo was always the star. She trusted him like a member of her own family. The villagers often stopped by to chat, sharing stories about their lives, while Bobo quietly observed everything. But lately, something strange had been happening. Bobo started acting differently. He would disappear for hours and come back with mud all over his legs, looking exhausted but oddly proud. Nobody knew where he was going or what he was doing. Then there's Tom, the village carpenter. He had always been skeptical about animals doing anything out of the ordinary. To him, Bobo was just a stubborn donkey, nothing more. But even Tom began to notice the changes. One afternoon, Tom saw Bobo standing at the edge of the forest, staring into the distance like he was waiting for someone. It was unusual because Bobo never ventured far from the farm. That's when Tom decided to follow him quietly, curious to see where Bobo might be heading. What he discovered left him speechless. There's a feeling in the air like something big is about to happen. The village has been peaceful for years, but with Bobo's strange behavior and those mysterious disappearances, everyone is starting to wonder if there's more to this donkey than meets the eye. Could Bobo be trying to tell us something? Or is he involved in something we don't understand yet? The truth might be closer than anyone thinks, but it's hidden beneath layers of silence and mystery. As the sun set on that day, Bobo's secret was still locked away somewhere deep in the shadows of the forest. Maria was worried but hopeful, Tom was confused and intrigued, and the villagers? Well, they were beginning to whisper about the donkey who might just be the key to something none of them expected. And just when you think you figured it out, Bobo did something that no one saw coming, something that changed everything. What exactly did Bobo do? That's the question everyone's asking, and it's what you're going to find out in the next part of the story. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. This is not just a tale about a donkey, it's about friendship, mystery, and the unexpected ways animals can surprise us. So stay tuned, because the adventure is just beginning, and the truth about Bobo is about to come out, but not without a few twists along the way. Ever since that strange evening, the village couldn't stop talking about Bobo. People wondered what could make a donkey act so unusual. Was it just a strange phase, or something more? To understand, we need to go back a little, to how Maria first found Bobo as a young foal. She remembered that day clearly. The little donkey was alone and scared, hidden near the riverbank after a heavy storm. Maria's gentle heart didn't let her leave him there, so she took him home, and from that moment on, they became inseparable. Bobo was not just an animal to her, he was a loyal companion who seemed to feel things deeply. But lately, Maria noticed that Bobo's behavior was changing. He was restless, almost like he was searching for something or someone. At night, when the farm was quiet, Bobo would sometimes stand at the fence, looking toward the dark forest beyond the village, ears twitching at every small sound. It was as if he was listening to something no one else could hear. Maria tried to follow him once, but Bobo was too fast and always disappeared before she could catch up. Tom, the carpenter, shared a similar feeling. He wasn't the kind to believe in mysteries or anything supernatural, but even he couldn't explain why Bobo seemed drawn to the forest. Tom had seen the donkey return one afternoon with fresh scratches on his legs, as if he'd been through thick bushes or maybe even a fight. That night, Tom stayed up late thinking about it. What if Bobo knew something? Or had discovered something the villagers didn't? The idea seemed crazy, but the evidence was hard to ignore. Then there was the matter of the strange noises coming from the forest. Some villagers said they heard eerie sounds after dark, low growls, whispers, even what sounded like footsteps. No one dared to go check, but Bobo was often found near the edge of those woods, as if he was guarding or watching. People began to feel uneasy. Was Bobo connected to those noises somehow? Or was he warning them about something? Maria tried to calm her fears by focusing on the everyday work of the farm. She fed the animals, tended the crops, and hoped the mystery would solve itself. But Bobo's actions kept pulling her back to the question, what was really going on? The donkey's eyes seemed to hold secrets, and every day, those secrets grew heavier. Something was happening in that forest, and Bobo was at the center of it. But what? And why? The villagers felt the weight of the unknown pressing closer, yet no one wanted to admit how scared they were. The peaceful village was starting to feel different, more tense, more fragile. And Bobo, the once simple donkey, was the unlikely key to a story that was far from over. As the days passed, the strange events surrounding Bobo seemed to grow more intense. Maria's worries deepened, especially when she noticed how the donkey refused to eat at times, instead choosing to stand quietly near the forest's edge, his eyes fixed on something invisible to everyone else. Maria wasn't sure what Bobo was sensing, but she felt the tension too, a feeling like the calm before a storm. She confided in Tom, hoping his practical mind could make sense of the strange behavior, but even he admitted he was puzzled. Meanwhile, rumors began to spread throughout the village. Some people whispered about old legends tied to the forest, stories of spirits and lost travelers, warnings passed down for generations. Others believed it was something more physical, a hidden animal or even people sneaking through the woods at night. These rumors added layers of fear and mystery, making the villagers more cautious. Few dared to venture near the forest after sunset, but Bobo kept going back, as if drawn by a force no one understood. At the heart of this mystery was the question that weighed on everyone's mind. What was Bobo trying to protect or find? Maria wondered if he had discovered something dangerous, maybe even a secret buried in the forest itself. The thought made her uneasy, but she felt compelled to trust Bobo's instincts. After all, she had raised him from a foal. She believed there was more to him than just a stubborn donkey. Tom decided to take a closer look at the forest, hoping to find clues that might explain Bobo's strange behavior. He brought a lantern one evening and followed the paths where Bobo had been seen. The deeper he went, the more he noticed signs, broken branches, footprints, even scraps of cloth caught on thorns. It was clear something or someone had been there recently. But what or who? And why was Bobo so involved? Back at the village, other tensions began to surface. Some neighbors grew impatient with Maria's focus on Bobo, calling her worried and silly. Others were more sympathetic, but afraid of getting involved. Maria felt alone but determined. She knew that whatever was happening, Bobo was connected to something bigger than any of them had expected. One night, a sudden cry echoed through the village, a sound unlike anything they had heard before. It was chilling and urgent. Bobo immediately sprang to life, rushing toward the forest as if responding to a call only he could hear. Maria and Tom followed quickly, hearts pounding. The mystery was deepening, the danger growing closer, and the answers, whatever they were, still out of reach. The cry that pierced the night still echoed in Maria's ears as she and Tom hurried after Bobo, their steps heavy on the soft earth of the forest path. The moon barely lit the way, but Bobo's urgency was impossible to miss. His ears flicked back and forth, his eyes sharp and alert. Every moment felt like a heartbeat closer to something unknown, something that had been waiting in the shadows all along. The forest was alive with sounds, twigs snapping, leaves rustling, the distant hoot of an owl, but beneath it all was a tension that made Maria's skin crawl. She clutched Tom's arm tightly, and he gave her a reassuring nod, though his own face was drawn tight with worry. They moved deeper into the woods, following Bobo's steady lead, until the trees seemed to close in around them. The air grew colder, and the strange noises from earlier, the growls, whispers, footsteps, felt closer, almost like they were watching from just beyond the next tree. Suddenly, Bobo stopped. His body was rigid, muscles tense, nostrils flaring as he sniffed the air. Maria could hear a low growl, and her heart skipped. It wasn't coming from Bobo, it was something else. Something unknown. Tom shone his lantern ahead, revealing a small clearing where the moonlight fell unevenly over the ground. In the center, faint tracks and disturbed earth told a story Maria couldn't yet read. "Look at this," Tom whispered, kneeling to examine the ground. The footprints were large, deeper than any animal's. Something heavy had passed through recently. Maria's mind raced. Was this connected to Bobo's strange behavior? Was the donkey protecting the village from whatever was out there, or had he found a secret that was better left alone? A sudden snap from the bushes made them both freeze. Bobo brayed loudly, the sound sharp and urgent, breaking the silence. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, not fully clear, but moving with an unnatural grace. Maria's breath caught in her throat. It was neither a villager nor an animal. Tom raised his lantern higher, but the figure melted back into the darkness, disappearing before they could get a good look. "Did you see that?" Maria asked, her voice trembling. Tom nodded. "Whatever it is, it's not something we should ignore." The tension was unbearable now. Bobo pawed the ground, restless, his eyes locked on the trees as if expecting more to appear. Maria knew they had crossed a line. This was no longer just about a donkey wandering strange paths. This was about a hidden world that had been quietly waiting beneath the surface of their peaceful village. As they turned to head back, Bobo suddenly bolted into the woods, faster than either of them could keep up. Maria called after him, but the donkey was gone in an instant. Panic surged through her. What was Bobo chasing? Or running from? The forest seemed to close in around her, thick with shadows and unanswered questions. Maria and Tom exchanged worried looks. They knew the answers were close, but so was danger. The mystery had reached its peak, and the quiet village they once knew was on the edge of something no one could have predicted. Bobo's secret was about to change everything, but whether it would save them or bring harm was still unknown. The night held its breath, waiting for what would come next. Maria's heart pounded as she watched Bobo disappear into the thick shadows of the forest. Tom urged her to stay close, but her worry pushed her forward, deeper into the woods where the night seemed to close in like a heavy curtain. The feeling of being watched grew stronger with every step, and the strange sounds, whispers, rustling leaves, distant growls wrapped around them like a living thing. The mystery that had started with a curious donkey was now something far darker, far more dangerous. Suddenly, as if out of nowhere, a low light flickered between the trees. It wasn't the soft glow of the moon or their lantern. This was something else, unnatural, almost alive. Maria and Tom exchanged a quick glance before cautiously moving toward it. The light pulsed gently, leading them to a small clearing they hadn't noticed before. And there, right in the center, was something that froze them in their tracks. It wasn't a wild animal, nor was it human. What lay before them was an old wooden chest, half buried in the dirt and covered in moss. The chest looked ancient, like it had been hidden for decades, maybe even longer. Maria felt a chill run down her spine. Why was this here? And why had Bobo been drawn so close to it? Tom carefully brushed away the moss, revealing strange symbols carved into the wood, symbols that didn't look familiar at all. Maria's mind raced back to the stories she'd heard from the village elders, stories about forgotten rituals and a secret past buried beneath the forest floor. Could this chest be connected to those legends? And if so, what secrets did it hold? Before they could decide what to do next, a sudden rustling sounded behind them. They spun around just in time to see Bobo returning, but this time, he wasn't alone. Following him were two shadowy figures, villagers they thought they could trust. But their faces were grim, eyes darkened by fear and something else Maria couldn't place. The whispers they had heard all along suddenly made sense. This was more than just a simple mystery. It was a secret the whole village had been keeping. "What's going on?" Maria demanded, stepping forward. One of the figures, an older man named Carlos, hesitated, then spoke quietly. "There are things in this forest we've all been warned about. Bobo isn't just protecting the village, he's guarding that chest. It holds something dangerous, something we promised never to let out." Tom's brow furrowed. "Why didn't anyone tell us? Why keep it a secret?" Carlos shook his head sadly. "Because some secrets are too dangerous, and some promises come with a price. If that chest is opened, it could bring harm to everyone here." Maria looked back at the chest, then at Bobo, who seemed almost to understand the weight of the moment. The donkey's usual calm was gone, replaced by a tension that matched the growing unease in the village. As the night deepened, the stakes became clearer. The mystery was no longer just about a curious donkey or strange noises in the forest. It was about a secret buried for generations, one that could change everything if it wasn't stopped in time. And as the villagers gathered around, whispering fears and old warnings, Maria realized one thing: they were running out of time. The secret Bobo had been protecting was about to come to light, and with it, the peaceful life they all knew might vanish forever. The tension in the clearing was thick enough to cut with a knife. Maria's hands trembled as she looked at the ancient chest, the strange symbols glowing faintly under the moonlight. Carlos's warning echoed in her mind. This chest held something dangerous. Everyone stood silent, waiting, the night holding its breath. Bobo pawed the ground nervously, his eyes darting between the villagers and the chest. Maria stepped forward, feeling a mixture of fear and determination. She knew the secret had to be faced, not hidden away forever. With a slow breath, she reached out and lifted the heavy lid. Inside, wrapped in a faded cloth, was a small, ornately carved box made of dark wood. The air seemed to shift around it, heavy, almost alive. Carlos stepped closer, voice low and urgent. "That box is the source of the curse that has haunted this village. It's said to hold the spirit of a forgotten guardian, powerful but trapped and restless. Opening it risks unleashing forces we don't understand." Maria hesitated but knew they couldn't leave it sealed. The strange events, Bobo's behavior, it was all connected. As she carefully unwrapped the box, the air around them grew colder. Tom shone his lantern inside, revealing a faintly glowing crystal at the heart of the box. A soft hum filled the clearing, the ground beneath them trembling lightly. Suddenly, a gust of wind whipped through the trees, and the crystal pulsed brighter. Bobo brayed sharply, stepping forward as if to protect them. The villagers gasped as shadows seemed to swirl around the clearing, taking shape like restless spirits. The guardian's presence was awakening. Maria felt a wave of energy wash over her, a voice whispering in her mind, a warning and a plea. She realized the spirit wasn't evil, but trapped and confused, causing the disturbances. The village's silence and fear had only made it restless. The only way to calm the guardian was to return the crystal to a hidden altar deep in the forest, a place Maria had never been but instinctively knew was near. Without hesitation, Maria, Tom, and Carlos, with Bobo leading the way, set off through the forest toward the altar. The spirits swirled around them, sometimes blocking their path, but the donkey's steady courage kept them moving forward. Finally, they reached a moss-covered stone altar, ancient and weathered. Maria placed the crystal carefully in the altar's center. The glow spread, bathing the clearing in warm light. The spirits faded gently, the forest quieted, and a calmness settled over the village like a long-lost breath. The villagers looked at Bobo with new respect. He wasn't just a donkey, but a guardian in his own right, chosen to protect the village from the unknown. Maria smiled, feeling relief and awe. But just as they turned to leave, the ground beneath the altar trembled again. A hidden compartment opened, revealing another smaller box, one that pulsed with an even darker energy. Carlos's face went pale. This was not supposed to be found. Maria exchanged a glance with Tom. The mystery was not over. The secret had layers deeper than they imagined. And Bobo, the donkey who started it all, brayed once more, eyes shining with a knowing spark. Whatever was inside that second box, the adventure was far from finished. The sudden opening of the hidden compartment sent a chill through the group. Maria reached cautiously toward the smaller box, but Carlos stopped her with a gentle hand. "Some secrets are meant to stay buried," he said quietly. The weight of those words hung heavy in the cool forest air. Bobo, sensing the tension, nuzzled Maria's hand as if reminding her that some things needed time and patience. After a moment, Maria nodded. They carefully closed the altar, covering the hidden box once more with moss and earth, deciding it was best left alone for now. As they made their way back to the village, the calmness that had returned to the forest felt different this time, deeper, more hopeful. The restless spirits had found peace, and the strange noises that had kept everyone awake for weeks fell silent. Maria looked at Bobo with new understanding. He wasn't just a stubborn donkey, he was their protector, guiding them through the unknown with quiet courage. Back at the farm, life slowly returned to normal. The villagers started to talk openly about what had happened, and the old fears began to fade. Maria shared the story of Bobo's bravery and the secret they had uncovered, reminding everyone how sometimes the smallest creatures can hold the greatest strength. Tom, once skeptical, admitted he had been wrong about Bobo. "There's more to this donkey than I ever imagined," he said with a smile. The bond between them all had grown stronger through the mystery they had faced together. Though the hidden box remained a secret, it served as a reminder that every story has layers, and not all answers come at once. Sometimes, the most important thing is to trust your instincts, to face your fears, and to stand together when the unknown tries to divide you. Maria often found herself looking at Bobo with gratitude, knowing that his unusual actions had saved the village in ways no one could have predicted. And while some questions still lingered, the peace they had restored was enough for now. As the sun rose each morning over the quiet village, Maria, Tom, and Bobo knew their lives had changed forever. They had faced the shadows and come out stronger. And in the heart of the forest, beneath layers of earth and time, the secrets waited patiently, ready to reveal themselves when the moment was right. For now, though, the village could rest easy, thanks to a donkey who did something no one believed possible.